Momentum Builders, and welcome to day 4 of the 5-day WOmentum challenge. So we have different themes for every day, and before I get into that, I just want to say welcome to our new subscribers who are now signing up for the 5-day WOmentum challenge. Please feel free to introduce yourselves. It's been such a wonderful conversation, and we invite you to join in. We'd very much like that. Anyway, every single day has had a theme so far. So Monday was Notice It, Tuesday was Nurture It, Wednesday was Own It, and today, Thursday, the theme is Declare It. Now, a lot of people are afraid to declare it, to declare what they want and who they are. And it's because of our fears. We all have these fears, and whether or not our perceptions of what we should be fearful of are correct or not correct, the fear is very real. So for those of you who maybe have a challenge declaring goals that you might have and what you want, I have a solution for that, because I was one of those people. I went through a time in my life when my sister was going through a healing journey, and when she started healing after about 10 years, then my dad passed away, and that was quite sudden because he was always very healthy. So I then had a lot of trouble declaring what I wanted, because when you're in the moment and just looking to have your family member alive the next day, declaring what you want in 6 months' time really doesn't seem a priority, and one is very fearful about it. So someone actually told me, well, why don't you just create the feeling of what you want? And that's what I'm going to say to you now. For instance, if you'd like to create the feeling of maybe you want to have a promotion in your job, or you want to make that extra $50,000 per year in your business, whatever it is that you want, if you want a new love in your life, declare it by creating that feeling. And you may say, well, I've never had $50,000 more. I don't know that feeling. Actually, you do. I mean, what word would you put to it? When I was asked that question, then I put a word to the feeling that at the time I was feeling very dragged down by life, very weighed down by all my challenges. And I was asked, how would you like to feel? What is that feeling? And I immediately said freedom. So without thinking about it, write in the comments box if you'd like to share. What feeling would you create? It will come to you. Whether it's freedom, whether it's joy, whatever it is that you want to create. So when I put down that feeling of freedom, I was asked, well, what does freedom feel like? And then I looked back to my childhood, and I remember being in grade 5 or 6, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, I don't remember, and exams were finished. It was one of those days where there was nothing to do at school, so our teacher took us to the pool to swim, and I remember going from the classroom to the pool, and it was the summer's day, and the sky was so blue. There was a breeze blowing. It wasn't too hot, but you know, the breeze kind of helped, and there was this excitement that I felt and this freedom. I remember just skipping across and just feeling so carefree, and that was the feeling of freedom, and that was the feeling that I created. And when you keep creating it, eventually it manifests. It's just the law of nature. You don't have to worry about how you're going to do it, how you're going to manifest it. You just keep creating the feeling and feeling that feeling and see what happens. Be detached from the outcome. Hey, if it doesn't happen, you're not any worse off than you are right now. You're just feeling probably a little bit happier. And the other thing is that when we declare it, we're talking about declaring who we want to be, or who we are really, what we want to do, what we want to say, how we want to love, how we want to live. Now that also takes courage, because we have to be vulnerable enough to do it. So declaring who you want to be, who you are inside, and that comes through in maybe how we speak, how we dress. Often we're fine to own it within ourselves and say, this is who I am, but to put it out there to the world, well, we rather want to fit into someone else's box, just in case we get rejected, or we feel threatened or intimidated. So I would say that let's do an exercise right now. What do you want to do in your life? What is it that you're going to do that you've never done before? Now I asked the same question with Own It, but now I'm asking you, what new activity are you going to do in the next, let's say in the next month, that you have never done before, that you felt, well, maybe I could do this, but I'm not sure. And here, I'm sharing mine, I'm declaring mine right now. I wrote a poem and I think it would be a great performance poem. Something like slam poetry, but not altogether in that category. And I am going to have myself videoed performing it, whether it's in my own home or whether it's on a stage somewhere, wherever it is. But I am going to perform that poem. And I'm declaring it so you can hold me accountable to that. So what are you declaring that you'd like to do that is totally new but is who you are inside? Also, declaring what you like to say. Do you use different phrases when you speak to one circle of people and then other phrases and expressions when you speak to another circle? There's a saying that goes, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. And that's all well and good. So when in Rome, do what the Romans do. When in Greece, do what the Greeks do. What happens when the Romans and the Greeks meet and you're in the middle? What are you going to do then? The best solution is to say what you want to say in the language and the tone and the way it comes from you naturally. Just be who you are, because you can't be everything that everyone else wants you to be. Having the courage and the vulnerability to declare it in terms of love. Well, love is the basis of who we are. I believe that. Love is beyond life, it's beyond death. And just having that vulnerability to reach out to someone else in friendship or in love. The years pass quickly. Say what you mean. And yes, we may be rejected, but something great may come of it. I was staying with Donna on my recent trip to the US, and she has this wonderful kitty called April. April is 2 years old, and what really struck me is that I was a little anxious about how I'd relate to her, because I've never been in an environment where there was a cat, and I expressed this to Donna. Anyway, April stretched out a paw in love, and it struck me how vulnerable she had to be to act, and how really courageous it was for April to trust that I'd be able to and be willing to take care of her needs when Donna wasn't there, and to know that I'd stretch out a hand back in love. There's something to be said for reaching out in love, because yes, years go by quickly and something great can come of it. All this has to do with using one's voice, being courageous enough and vulnerable enough to declare it in terms of who you are, what you want to say, what you want to do, who you want to be. And all this adds up to how you want to live. Because here's the truth, right here and now. The truth is that you are beyond anything that you've ever done or haven't done. You are more powerful than any words you've said. You're more powerful than any words that you haven't said. You are infinite possibility. You're love personified. You are greater than you can ever think or do or say or be. And you are who you're going to choose to reflect to the world, and who you are on the inside when you let that come out. That is who you are. Remember that.